Hi everybody. So carrying on the Florida trip, when we last left off, we were just entering the Everglades. It's crazy how open the Everglades are. I mean, Florida's super flat, so it makes sense. But first invasive fish we found were these little jewel cichlids. They're from the rivers of Africa. They're pretty much in every little drainage ditch down here. Then this here is a copper-nosed bluegill, a very pretty native fish. We found a lot of natives along with some invasives this time. Here's some sailfin mollies, all females, so they don't have a big sailfin. I believe brown anole, Bahamian anole. They always like to bite me. But yeah, last time I was in the Everglades, it was at night, and we found a lot more invasives. But here is a native bullhead catfish, along with some jewel cichlids. Oh, a couple other little sunfish there. Then here's a little tilapia. Managed to net out. It's a pretty fish, but yeah, they get massive and for sure do damage. A couple of alligators. We saw plenty of them laying around on the sides of the roads. And this is actually an egret, and he is trying to eat, I believe it's a walking catfish in his mouth. But with those fin spines, he just could not get it down. Actually, might have been a bullhead now that I look at it again. Yeah, he was really struggling with those. Catfish have barbed fins that they can actually like lock in place to prevent them from being eaten by stuff like that, or alligators. Then this is one of my favorites. This is a roseate spoonbill. They're like a little dinosaur. They kind of swing their mouth back and forth, catching fish, kind of filtering through the water. Super cool to see in the wild. I've only ever seen things like this in the zoos, really. Then here's another group of sailfin mollies, and this one did have a male in it. As you can see, that beautiful, beautiful sailfin there. They're pretty fish. They just shouldn't be down in Florida, but it is really fun catching them. Then in the right area, it was just another little ditch after the alligators kind of backed off. Took a couple net swings and ended up with this little tank full of bullhead catfish. Tons and tons of them. But yeah, here you can see some of the little roadside ditches didn't have any alligators, and then some of them were absolutely packed full of alligators. So it's interesting where they are and where they aren't. Loop Road in the Everglades, though, couldn't recommend that more if you want to see some crazy wildlife. Then we went on the coastal trail down in Flamingo, just for about a mile or two. It was pretty hot and rainy, so we weren't out too long. Tons and tons of mosquitoes. But down in Flamingo, every time I go, I always see the manatees. They come up and actually drink water that runs off the docks when it rains. They'll actually come up and drink off the storm drains too. So always fun to see manatees. There's a pretty good group of them. I've never seen their mouth up close like this. Pretty strange looking. Then we made our way to where we were staying in Key Largo. I believe these are Mangrove Jacks. These were right off our back porch. There was all kinds of cool fish that would kind of hang out there. It was like a little boat kind of inlet area. And this beautiful French angel was just hanging off right where we were staying. So very, very cool to see. These guys are definitely in the aquarium trade, and they are beautiful fish. They get huge. This is about a full-grown adult here. The juveniles are very pretty too. They're just solid black with 3 really bright yellow stripes. So swimming in and out of the school of jacks. Really awesome to see. And this was like the first 5 minutes we arrived at where we were staying. Then this is cool. This is a little air-breathing sea slug that lives at low tide. He comes up and eats algae. I don't know the common name of them, but they were super cool to see. Then here we have a flame scallop. A lot of people don't know, but scallops can actually swim. Clams don't, but scallops can actually get up off the bottom and kick around. These are in the aquarium trade too. They don't do super well in captivity. I know a few people that have kept them long term, but they need a lot of food in the water for them to filter out of the water. More than most aquariums can handle. Then this is another common pet trade animal. This is a land hermit crab, purple pincher hermit crab. And yeah, down in the very South Florida, all over the Caribbean, these guys crawl around at night. And then off the dock, I did see this big pufferfish I wasn't able to get any closer than this to them though. Then traveling on down into the Keys, this is a curly-tail lizard. These guys are all over southern Florida, and they're just spreading more and more. This was at a little mangrove inlet, and there is a Atlantic horseshoe crab right there. Then those are actually upside-down jellyfish that he's kind of walking through. But in this little mangrove kind of spot down in Key West, right after that shot, one of the nurse sharks swam right up to me. You can see it's covered in the remoras, the shark suckers. But yeah, it was so amazing. You can see that cloudiness, that haziness in the water, I believe is actually where fresh and salt water are mixing. It was raining, so yeah, that haze to the water. See that remora attached right next to its gills. So cool. And this other one was just kind of hovering right above it. But yeah, they'll chase, kind of attach to sharks and kind of swim with them. Any kind of food scraps, if the shark is ripping something up, they'll swoop in and steal. They're supposed to also pick at any kind of like worm parasites, any kind of external parasites on the shark. This might have been my favorite animal of the whole trip. You can really see how hazy that water is in this clip where I'm trying to pet it. Of course, it didn't like that too much, so it did take off on me. Then next up, yeah, here I want to focus on the upside down jellyfish. Super cool. They can sting, but it wasn't too bad. I didn't really feel it at all, but apparently they like release their stingers out into the water, which can kind of give you a rash more than anything. Super cool to see. I've never seen living wild jellyfish before. I've only ever seen them washed up on the beach before. Never the upside downs either. Then we stopped in Isla Morada, I think I said that right, in Robbie's restaurant, where you can actually feed big, huge wild tarpon right off their back deck. And there was probably 200 to 300 tarpon here, anywhere from maybe 3 foot was the smallest, all the way up to, there were definitely probably some 7 or 8 footers here. And it was a ton of fun. I mean, just right off, they'll come and fly out of the water to grab some. Super cool to see. There were a lot too. There were a lot of tarpon here, all ready to snap. Then after Robbie's for dinner, we went back to where we were staying, and I caught this blue striped grunt. Very pretty fish, kind of that yellow with those bright blue stripes. But yeah, I didn't keep anything this trip, so I just went around letting everything go, seeing what I could find. This one here is an Atlantic sea bream. Another pretty fish, those yellow stripes. But the best time for me always catching fish is night. I did manage to catch this little Atlantic needlefish. I think this was a redfin needlefish actually. Very similar though. But yeah, you just kind of dip net them off the docks at night. Chucked him back. Such a cool fish. Like a little gar. And I did manage to catch a baby great barracuda. Very, very small great barracuda. Probably about 3 inches. See him next to my hand. And just let him go too. Pretty little fish. Then this was probably my favorite. Same spot, right where we were staying in Key Largo. This is a yellow stingray, which I didn't expect to see. I mean, you can't exactly just go to the beach and expect to see anything. You just hope for the best, and I did actually manage to catch it. You can see it's a male. This is about a full-grown male of this species, so they actually do very well in aquariums in captivity. But I was just looking, just here to see what I can see, so I did let him go. Such a cool species. I love stingrays. I love any sharks and rays. Any of the cartilaginous fish. But yeah, there was this like rock shelf where we were staying that everything would come up, and I had an easy time scooping them out. And right after letting that stingray go, another big nurse shark swam right past me. Very cool to see. Then we made the 20-hour drive back to the eel pit. Everyone did totally fine. I had a coworker stop by and feed everyone while I was gone. This is the long-nosed gar there. That's crunch wrapped wedged up in that cinder block. Big sturgeon right there, caviar. Gar chomp right here. yeah, that was my Florida trip. Thanks for watching.